Cyberpunk Edgerunners has without a doubt been the biggest anime win of this year. The show has made us feel thrilled, amazed, and teary-eyed all at the same time. It's done the impossible by redeeming the Cyberpunk franchise and finally letting us know what Night City truly has to offer. Hello and welcome back to Animeology. Edgerunners just doesn't seem to get out of our heads, so today we've handpicked for you the 10 best moments from the anime. So sit back, relax, and grab some tissues as we head down memory lane. Number 10, David gives Katsuo a taste of his own medicine. Edgerunners opens up by showing us how David's been treated as an outcast by his classmates due to the gap in wealth. But no one came close to Katsuo in that regard, as he literally went Bruce Lee on David using a karate chip. But things keep getting worse for David, since his mother, Gloria, was gravely injured as a result of being caught up in the crossfire of a shootout. Later on, even succumbing to her wounds because the two couldn't afford the better treatment. David, now at his lowest, receives a call from Katsuo in which he mocks Gloria's death and laughs at what David's life has become. And that's when David realizes enough is enough. He heads over to his local black market doctor and gets a Sandevistan, a piece of military-grade cyberware his mother found on the job, installed in his body. David then heads to school, but not to study. He taunts Katsuo, and just as Katsuo tries to go Bruce Lee mode again, he unleashes the devastating power of his Sandevistan and sends Katsuo headfirst into a wall nearby. David's revenge couldn't get any sweeter. Number 9, David and Lucy cross paths for the first time. After getting revenge on Katsuo, David wanders aimlessly through Night City. Well, that is until he bumps into Lucy on an airline. As Lucy tries to pickpocket David's chip, he uses his Sandevistan to catch her by surprise. Impressed with David, Lucy offers him to be her partner in crime, and the two seemingly hit it off.
3、2、1、行くよ。
David overuses his Sandevistan to pickpocket passengers, and the next thing he knows, he's waking up inside an ambulance. The nurse notices David's Sandevistan and tries to capture David, but Lucy intervenes and knocks her out. The duo makes their escape as Lucy maneuvers David's stretcher in heavy traffic, and that's a bewildering sight to behold. Number 8, the exhilarating data heist car chase. David's tasked by Maine to help his crew steal navigation data from Maxim, an Arasaka driver. Officially, this is David's first job as a newbie Edgerunner, one that Maine gave him after being bummed out that David installed what was supposed to be his Sandevistan that he paid Gloria for. Maxim eventually catches on to what the crew was playing at. He sees David and Lucy stealing the data inside the limo, but Lucy hacks the car, and David puts the pedal to the metal. Mercenaries soon catch up to them, and so begins a thrilling chase across the jam-packed highways of Night City. Number 7, David's initiation as an Edgerunner. After the somewhat successful data heist, David finally earns himself a spot amongst Maine's crew, and so begins David's legacy as an Edgerunner. Heists, parties, more cyberware, and developing better relationship with his fellow outlaws give David a purpose, and above that, finally, a place to belong. Edgerunners does a wonderful job at showing us that even though Night City is a cruel place, its roots haven't corrupted all those who live in it. Number 6, Pillar being killed by a cyber psycho. Everything seemed perfect as David had finally found a family. Maine's gigs were going smoothly and things had just started to look up. Well, that was the case until an unexpected tragedy struck. Pillar, being the narcissist he is, started to berate a nearby hobo. After a moment of eerie silence, next thing we know, Pillar's brains were splattered everywhere and his body still stood upright even after his death. The homeless person turned out to be a cyber psycho, and on realizing this, Maine's entire crew went in guns blazing. The fight was as extreme as the emotions were gut-wrenching, but after a dire struggle, David was able to land the final blow, or well, at least he thought he did, as the cyber psycho almost blew up his head right before Maine put it to rest. Thankfully, the situation was dealt with swiftly, and Maine and David ended what could have been a fight that would have cost more than just Pillar's life. Number 5. David and Rebecca go full-on Terminator mode. A few months after Maine's unfortunate death, David becomes the leader of his Edgerunners group. David is now buffed with new implants, one of which includes Maine's signature fists. The next shot opens with David and the crew discussing the best way to complete this hostage rescue job, and being all chill as ever, they take the heads-on approach. And as expected, the opposing gang doesn't welcome them with open arms. Instead, they put a gun right up to David's head, to which David replied in kind. Bullets begin raining in every direction. Rebecca's blasting her shotgun like confetti, and David's not hesitating anymore to take a life. They wipe out the entire gang in a few moments, and then proceed forward, where they encounter a cyber psycho. Like everyone else, we were scared for the Edgerunners due to what happened with Pillar, but surprisingly, this time around, David confidently resorted to using his Sandevistan and landed the kill shots. Number 4. Saving Lucy. Arasaka offers Faraday a deal to bring in the netrunner responsible for killing their agent, and the price just seems too good for him to pass on. So Faraday pays Kiwi a visit, and together they're able to neutralize Lucy. Eventually, David and the group find out Lucy's been captured when Faraday double-crosses them on a job. And oh boy, does all hell break loose. David puts on the anti-gravity cyber skeleton he finds where Arasaka traps his group and starts wreaking havoc, killing every lackey of theirs in the surrounding area. Then Falco, Rebecca, and David head straight for Arasaka HQ while battling hordes of soldiers. This is one of Cyberpunk Edgerunner's most unbelievable moments, and it definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. With David finally reaching Lucy in the nick of time, spectacles of Night City light up in explosions that make it look as if the sun was still out. Number 3. Maine's final rodeo. To David, Maine wasn't just another Edgerunner, he was a father figure, and probably the kindest person to him after his mother. While Lucy had first sold out David to Maine, it was Maine who saw David's potential and honored his partnership with Gloria by giving her son a chance to prove himself. Eventually, when Maine went cyber psycho due to his extensive chrome implants, David was devastated. He stood by Maine when he had lost all sanity and killed Rodeo, but even when Maine was in a state of cyberpsychosis, he still recognized David and couldn't bring himself to harm him. And though it may not be a happy memory, Maine's death at the hands of Arasaka forces and Cyberpunk Edgerunners was as sad as it was pivotal to what became the driving force behind David's legacy as a Night City legend. Number 2. Adam Smasher smashes David's crew. Adam Smasher has been hinted at throughout Cyberpunk Edgerunners, but it wasn't until near the ending that the boogeyman of the 4th legendary Corporal War showed his face. David had finally reached Lucy after facing an entire army of Arasaka agents while in his cyber skeleton, and as soon as he was about to rescue her, Smasher appeared right behind him. After a bit of trash talk, David uses his Sandevistan, hoping to finish off Adam Smasher quickly, and then the unexpected happened. Smasher also possessed the same powers as David's Sandevistan and instantly started downpouring his arsenal of weapons. David tried escaping with Lucy, but as Adam Smasher says, none escaped the slaughterhouse. He jumped from atop the Arasaka Tower and lands on top of Rebecca, smudging her body into the afterlife. David knows that he can't beat him at this point, so in a last-ditch effort, he stalls Smasher long enough until Lucy and Falco are able to get away. The fight lasts a few minutes until Adam easily overpowers and shoots David in the head. This scene was irrefutably the saddest part of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and the way the studio built the characters up to this point just makes it a moment that'll forever be carved into every fan's mind. Number 1. Lucy and David's Moon Brain Dance. Before Lucy sold out David the main, she used a BD chip to show David what her dream was, that being to visit the moon, as it was the farthest place she could think of from Night City. Although this happened quite early on in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, it was full of emotions, and yeah, it turned out to be a ruse ultimately, but what Lucy said about this being the first time she opened up to someone was totally true, and that's what made this scene hit harder. Out of all the unforgettable moments in Edgerunners, we'd say that this was the happiest one out of all of them. Lucy and David had both lived tragic lives until now, and in this scene, they genuinely looked happy after a long time of sadness. But as we all know, everything went to hell soon after, so for us, this was the sweetest moment in an anime that later developed into a story that's one for the ages.